The guilt you feel resting is not your conscience. It's a story you were taught about who deserves rest. You know the exact moment I mean. You're lying on the couch on a Sunday afternoon, the light is doing that golden thing through the curtains, and for about 4 seconds you feel okay. Then it arrives. This low crawling feeling that you should be doing something. That stillness is somehow a moral failure. There is a name for what's underneath that feeling. And it's not laziness, and it's not weakness. It's older than you are. If that landed somewhere real, follow the channel, not for the algorithm, honestly. It tells me who actually needs this kind of conversation, and I make more of what you stay for. This is a space for people standing at turning points, people who think too much and feel everything twice as hard as I do. Here is the version nobody says out loud. You are not burnt out because you work too hard. You are burnt out because you worked hard while quietly believing you had no right to stop. There is a particular kind of exhaustion that leaves at 3 a.m. You wake up and the ceiling is just there and your mind starts its inventory. The emails you didn't answer, the goal you moved again, the body you promised to take better care of. And underneath all of it, this grey ambient shame that resting is something you have to earn, that softness is a reward for the already finished, and you are never quite finished. The hidden cost nobody talks about is not tiredness, it is the split, the fracture between what your body is asking for and what your mind has decided you're allowed to feel. You know, cognitively, that rest is productive. You have read the articles, you have heard the science, and yet at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday when you close your laptop 10 minutes early, there is this again, the guilt, right on schedule, like a very punctual and entirely unwelcome guest. Here's what most people miss about this. The guilt is not evidence that you're doing something wrong. It's evidence that something is broken in the story you inherited about what you are for. There is a concept in Japanese that doesn't have a clean equivalent in English, and the fact it doesn't tells you something important about where we got lost. The word is Kokoro. Written with a single character, it is translated sometimes as heart, sometimes as mind, sometimes as spirit. But the reason no single English word works is because Kokoro is the refusal to separate those three things. In Japanese thought, the heart and the mind are not two systems in conversation. They are one place, the place where feeling and thinking arise together, inseparably as a single movement. Kokoro is ancient in Japanese culture, threaded through Zen, through the tea ceremony, through the samurai's concept of presence. To act on Kokoro is not to follow your heart instead of your head, is to act from the whole self, from the place that has not yet been divided into departments. Now, hold that against the guilt you feel when you rest. What that guilt actually is, if you trace it honestly, is a war between two things that should never have been separated. Your body, your Kokoro, knows it needs to stop. It is signaling clearly, but your mind, trained by a culture that values output of a being, has been installed with a different program. Rest must be justified. Softness must be strategic. Stillness is only acceptable if it makes you more productive later. This is not wisdom. This is fracture. And Kokoro is the name for what existed before the fracture and what you are trying to find your way back to. When your whole self speaks in one voice, the guilt doesn't arise. The bell rings once and it is enough. Søren Kierkegaard was a 19th century Danish philosopher who wrote under pseudonyms, suffered publicly, and thought harder about the experience of being a self than almost anyone before or since. He would have recognized your 3 a.m. ceiling immediately. Kierkegaard said that anxiety is the dizziness of freedom, not a disorder, not a malfunction. The precise sensation of standing before an open field of possibility and realizing you must choose, and that choosing one means not choosing everything else, and that no amount of analysis will make that less true. The guilt around rest is a version of this. You are not paralyzed because you don't know what that rest is good. You are paralyzed because you are free, because nobody is actually forcing you, and that freedom is terrifying in a specific way Kierkegaard called the dizziness. The more options you have, the more anxiety compounds. Rest or work, rest or growth, rest or falling behind. The vertigo is freedom itself. He also wrote about what he called the leap. Some decisions, he said, cannot be resolved by reason alone. You can think about them forever and arrive at the same crossroads. At some point you must choose without guarantee, not because you have certainty, but in the full presence of its absence. Choosing to rest, really rest, without justifying it, without making it instrumental, without waiting until you have earned it. That is a leap. It's a small and enormous at the same time. Here's where East and West arrive at the same door from opposite directions. Kokoro says, you were never divided. Kierkegaard says, you have to choose to act as name it, as Kierkegaard. Naming it changes the relationship. And this week, tell one person you trust something true about how tired you actually are. Not a complaint, a disclosure. Kokoro cannot be restored in total isolation. It requires being known, even slightly, even once. What would it mean to take this seriously? Not as a philosophy you found interesting on a Tuesday afternoon, but as a Tuesday morning practice? The deeper question this whole conversation has been circling is this: what are you actually for? Not what you are actually useful for. What you are for is the older sense, the Kokoro sense, the sense that includes your tiredness and your longing and the way life looks like on a Sunday. If rest is not something you earn, but something you are, then the guilt was never a compass. It was a cage built from someone else's story. What changes when you stop mistaking the cage for your conscience? Here is the one thing: you do not become worthy of rest by finishing. You were worthy before the list existed. If this conversation is one you needed, save it or send it to someone who goes quiet when they're struggling. Follow if you want more of this, and I will make it. Not inspiration, just honest thinking that helps you live with a little less weight.